it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Back on this rap ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't missing my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own. Tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues. Guess if you ain't at the table, you on the menu. And I'm that spitter, baby. They don't want you to see, but everybody south of Capitol Hill's rocking with me. Boys smoke the trays and ponder getting their life together. I'm comfortable with my role, so I'm like, whatever. I ain't got a job, but I work hard. And you don't work hard, but you got a job. The irony is I'm judged while you feel the applause. I'm slept on, that's why I had to set this alarm. My dudes is armed, I'm armed with this arm charm. Body banging like she got that cream from Barry Bonds. Yeah.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
That Dre season is here, a real hitter with a mic, I'm everything that they fear. With that hood ain't the same, I was all on their ass, I'm level-headed. So yo, my dudes love when I spaz, and I'm so over Seattle's passive-aggressive attitude. They don't call you back, what they really saying is F you. While I'm from the same place, I move at a different pace. I prefer if you just said it to my face, damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it
I hate
for
these
us.
average dudes with they average spit, writing average rhymes, knocking average chicks. The closer I get, I can feel the people starting to shift. I'm loyal to a fault, and everybody can't come with. Rap's a rich man's game, I'm only playing with change. They bang models and singers, I'm knocking my own flame, I'm different. The crowd, I move with the chosen few. Black thoughts, I could be the front man for the roots. No diamonds and gold, I'm on my sticks and stones. If we can see your panty line, you should have on a thong. My team is strong, through this fire we forged a bond. And they already know what it is when I get on. To the hearse, party like it's December 31st. When I'm on my deathbed, I probably cracking my nurse. You ain't got the bars to compete. I'm a verbal athlete, deflating these boys so they say that I cheat. Damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Yeah. I should probably start by apologizing for the long wait, man. You know, I know I be tripping. But I'm not just a rapper, I'm an artist. And, you know, my creative process is a little bit different than most. Nonetheless, I want to welcome everybody out to the Dre's Experience. I got TCF in the building. My whole camp's here with me. I got the band in here laying this cool-ass vibe. And I'm Seattle's own. Let's get into it.
I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I just wanna live.
Good morning, Grand Rising to all of you out there. Happy Wednesday to you. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. I am your co-host, Trey Holiday, and we got another great show for you. And y'all know this. We do this as a duo. What's up, Big O?
Good morning, Trey Holiday. How are you?
I'm well. Feeling nice and spry this morning. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. Look at you. Okay.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, you got the purple earrings and everything.
Got to coordinate.
Coordinate, huh?
You know it.
All right, well, you're looking good.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome, everybody, to the Morning Update Show. And remind you that right now is the perfect opportunity for you to tag and share the stream. Go ahead and tag and share the stream with people who you feel would appreciate culturally relevant news and information emanating from right here in the Emerald City. Want to give a big shout out to our partners over at the South Seattle Emerald, as well as KBCS 91.3 at Bellevue College. Also want to remind everybody that you can listen to the Morning Update Show anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcast. That's right, SoundCloud right there, as well as Google, Spotify, iTunes, Overcast, download. I saw the places last night that people are downloading. There's so many different apps that people are listening to the Morning Update Show, so you make sure and check us out there.
Right on. I just love it when we're starting to understand some of the metrics around the podcast and how it's actually hitting so many different parts of the globe, man. It's super dope.
Yeah, no, people are listening. What do we got here? We got our shirts. Let's put this up here. That's right. Still got actually a few of these. They're actually dwindling down. Our limited edition Pride shirts. There's Trey, Omi, and Olia D'Alessandro. They're black, white, and pink. And a great way to support Black-owned independent media while looking fresh and supporting your pride is to go to whereweconverge.com/shop. As usual, I want to remind everybody the vaccine is available. It's available here in King County. It is free. You don't have to pay for the COVID-19 vaccine. In most cases, a lot of places you go where the vaccine is being offered by the county or the city, you actually get an option of 3. So Moderna, Pfizer, or Johnson & Johnson. We put the link there in the comments as well for resources if you're looking to get the vaccine. And like I said, you don't have to pay anything for it. Tomorrow, big day as far as Build the Beach for us, by us. That's going on. Meeting, workforce inclusion and student engagement meeting tomorrow. Build the Beach for us, by us, right? And that's tomorrow at 6 p.m. And, you know, we want to continue to challenge the community, Trey Holiday. The $160 million project is not breaking ground for 18 months. We're well ahead. Lots of lead time for Black contractors to get involved. There's also programs for apprenticeships and also just community feedback and community engagement. I think Ike has put the link in the comments, but I think it's important, especially people who live on the South End, around Rainier Beach, went to Rainier Beach, plan for their kids to go to Rainier Beach.
Yeah, all of this is super important, and I love that they're being really intentional about getting the messages out there to the community because, honestly, oftentimes it's a postcard that you get sent when you live in a certain area about a development project, but they really don't want to hear your feedback. They just want to kind of check a box off to say that they tried to reach out to you, and I think that this project is really trying to set a tone and a different bar around community engagement. So we do encourage you all, if you know somebody who's looking to get into a trade, maybe it's somebody who just graduated high school, still doesn't know what they want to do. This is a great way for them to give back to their community while getting paid to do so.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so if you know somebody, you know, we're challenging you. If you know somebody out there who has a business in the construction ecosystem, whether, you know, they're in construction directly or they're providing a service, or if you know young people that are really trying to get out into the workforce, get an apprenticeship program, or if you know people that live out there in South Seattle, around Rainier Beach. Like I said, I went to school at Rainier Beach. Rainier Beach is in their future. Please share that link that we've put in the comments there. And let's have community show up and show out tomorrow. It's online, so you know you can be anywhere. You can join, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All barriers have been broken for you to participate.
All right, so we talked about this yesterday. We want people to come out and party with us on Friday. The Morning Update Show is heading back out on the road, and this time we're docking at Pier 62 as we broadcast live from the Seattle waterfront. Come out and join us this Friday at 11 a.m. from Pier 62 as we check in with waterfront businesses and check out all the many free family-friendly activities occurring all summer long. That's this Friday, July 9th at 11 a.m. at Pier 62. See you there.
Hey, come on now. Every time you have an opportunity to party with us, we encourage you to do so. Come on out, be at the waterfront with us. Again, just love seeing how the waterfront is being vibrant once again. And honestly, I can't wait for Friday and then Saturday, man. It's going to be popping. Yeah,
that's right. So Morning Update Show broadcasting live from Pier 62 on the Seattle waterfront. That's this Friday. And then the waterfront block party will also be down there as well. Base of Gordon, G-Prez Aspie, and that is Saturday from 4 to 7.
Yeah, looking forward to it, man. I'm ready to get my boogie on.
So you said I had a grandpa dance last week. Is that the grandma dance over there?
I love it. See, we're over here like we're just gonna do our little moves. It's just real simple for them.
You know, I'm a big fella, and so big for we do the two-step.
There you go, baby.
You know what I'm saying? I two-step you all night long. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
What you know about that, Cuddy? All right, look,
he got the young folk two-step.
Yeah, he got his two-step cracking too. Man, some real serious news here is that gunfire and gun violence continues here in the city of Seattle. This is from the SPD Twitter. This was just before 1 a.m. Police responded to a shooting in the 1200 block north of 137th Street. Prior to police arrival, 2 victims, a male and a female, were transported, there to the hospital. They transported themselves. So again, you know what I'm saying? I mean, there's a lot of shots. One is just shots fired in general that occur here. But then, there's actually people being shot and injured, and of course, people being murdered. But, we're going to continue to beat the drum here. You can't ignore what's happening in our city, all over the city. This is out there on the north end.
That's what I was going to say is that, the misnomers around, hey, this is gun violence taking place in really particular areas with really specific people. We're seeing it spread all throughout the city. And the truth of the matter is that you never know, because stray bullets do hit folks as well. So when we're talking about, folks being injured in this regard, thankfully they were able to transport themselves, but it could have ended up very worse. And once again, anybody who gets that call, man, that it's their family member that's been shot, there's always a moment of just like, man, how bad is this going to be? How are they going to recover? All of that just takes place for the families, man.
Right. And, here it looks like the indication, at least by the SPD Twitter, is that these injuries aren't necessarily life-threatening. But, at the same time, imagine if you live in that neighborhood. Imagine, when I think that people in our city, they isolate gun violence, to the victim, of course, who's a victim of gun violence, and maybe to their family. But, there's also a community that's now impacted. There's people who are like, man, is it safe now to go down the street? Or all these things. It's a whole bunch of issues that need to be addressed. And you know what? A lot of times, because the impacts, gun violence is impacted in our community, those things aren't never really talked about as far as the overall impact on the community in our ecosystem here. But man, people, these guns on these streets, these people it's a mess right now.
It really is. And you're right, that there's a whole other narrative just around feeling safe in your community, feeling safe where you've purchased a home or where you're raising your children, where your kids go to school. All of these things are so important when we talk about, the viability of our neighborhoods, wanting folks to be able to thrive in place. And what does that really look like? Safety is such a huge part of that. And honestly, when we talk about these bullets flying, just think like, hey, you may have a flipped up schedule and you love to do your jogs at night, right? And just to think about being out there and wanting to be safe, man, it plays a part for so many people.
Yeah, I'll say this is that we there's lots of different arguments. A lot of them are very valid as to the root causes of what's going on in our city and all in different neighborhoods and things like that. But I think that it's indisputable to say that it's not happening. Yeah. And, for us to be able to solve this problem, I think that we need to all first be able to agree that this is a problem. And, people can look at the different routes of how we got here and there's different routes for solutions, but we can't ignore that there is a gun violence problem here in the city of Seattle.
Yeah.
Man, another problem, fortunately here, this is from the South Seattle Emerald, Liz Giordano. District 2 bears the brunt of Seattle's traffic deaths from our partners over there at the South Seattle Emerald. And, this is so ill because, when you look at the numbers here, and I think Ike's putting the link in the comments, it's a pretty informative article over there. But, District 2, which is like the South End, that's Councilmember Morales' district, is just like, man, it's double the incidents and everything else out there. And we just saw, and it was crazy because, my daughter was right over there when the people got hit by the train. And, and she called me and, clearly impacted right over there on Alaska and MLK. And she called me, impacted. And people who live over there on Rainier will tell you that it's crazy. You know, it's crazy the total number of incidents, the number of people get hit by trains, and some everything else. And the South Seattle Emerald's broken it down. South Seattle Emerald analysis of police reported collision data shows that on average 1.5 to 3.5 people die from injuries sustained in crashes in each of the other 7 districts during a typical year. That number is double in District 2.
Wow.
Yeah, they've also got a quote in here, I believe from KL Shannon, and man, yeah, I feel that a lot of it has to do with it being a mostly BIPOC community. Let me grab this here. Sorry, we usually have all this stuff printed out. We were rushing today. I feel this has a lot to do with it being a mostly BIPOC community. SDOT has done some improvement, but not a lot of improvement, says Shannon. We could do better adding crosswalks, eliminating the center turn lane, and pushing for more protected bike lanes, you know. And I think that it was Aaron Bossett, it was a while ago, and talked about that, you know, there's all these people biking on the south end, but, you know, they have the least amount of protection for biking, and a lot of people that are biking, they look like us.
Yeah, I mean, this is really key. And I think, you know, KL Shannon, I mean, shout out to KL, community organizer, has been on the ground for many years. And so I really value, you know, her opinion. I value her perspective. And I think it's really important to note here that I think she's right in terms of, you know, a lot of people coming from just a wide variety of backgrounds, and how maybe driving, you know, really is an aspect of what we're seeing here in terms of, you know, these related deaths. I mean, really, it's shocking when you see the data and you see numbers like that, because you wouldn't really know it at the surface level. But to dive deeper and pull back that layer and see that these are the numbers that the South End is experiencing, it's heavy, man. And there's a lot of efforts out there to protect people on the streets. And it's time to really elevate those efforts, because clearly the South End needs it, man.
Yeah, and let's remember, too, when we talk about this train, this is something in regards to link light rail incidents and fatalities. This is something that people who live in between the University of Washington station and Northgate station, which is open in October, this is something they'll never have to deal with. You know what I'm saying? You know, the train is there on the surface going through South Seattle and so many other places in Seattle that's underground or it's elevated. And right there in South Seattle, it's on the ground level.
Yeah, this is something that was a concern for so many residents. Not only it just pummeling through the streets, but, you know, creating the opportunity for eminent domain of so many homeowners, right, of so many houses, and the ways that they had to build this station and build the stations up alongside. To be honest, there was a lot of community concern, and now we're seeing, you know, why they had that concern. It's unfortunate to be able to now, years later, even though it's causing or creating an opportunity for people to, you know, take public transit, mass transit is such a huge part of city living. But, you know, there was a lot of concern here, man, for a lot of South End residents who really were like, wait a minute, you know, are we sure we really want this to come right down MLK? Are we sure we want this to be in our neighborhood in this regard? And now we're starting to see how, you know, it plays out years later. It's just one of those things that's an unfortunate thorough line.
Yeah, District 2. We'll stay on top of this. We don't have a motion graphic for the next one here, a handcrafted motion graphic, but we do have the link. This is from Mike Carter of the Seattle Times. It says, King County ordered to pay $900,000 after retaliating against an employee who claimed discrimination. It says a federal jury has ordered King County to pay $900,252 to a black senior Metro Transit worker who said he was retaliated against after alleging racial discrimination in the agency's hiring and promotional processes. And this guy here, Claude Brown, I mean, he claimed that he was discriminated against. He wasn't getting promotions. He wasn't getting moved up. He tested high on a bunch of different jobs that he wasn't offered. And one time here, they said that it says Brown, 71, and still working as a transit operator, had been hired by King County Department of Transportation in 1997. It says here that he was alleged he was passed over for promotion and removed from technical training position, which was given to a younger white man just 8 days after the job had been assigned to him. Wow. And so this goes on here. We put the link is there in the comments. This is from Mike Carter of the Seattle Times. But $900,000 awarded here and to Claude Brown, 71 years old, claiming retaliation by King County because of his racial discrimination lawsuit.
Well, you know what? The thing is shout out to Claude for utilizing his voice. I think when we talk about the diversity of voices that really help to make the system better, this is a great example of that. And again, you know, when we suffer in silence when it comes to racial discrimination or discrimination of any kind, you know, it doesn't help to eradicate discrimination. And I think now, you know, they may think twice about how their practices are, you know, implementing and affecting employees. And it's important because, you know what, we need to use our voices in order to change a lot of these things. We see that there's a strong root of white supremacy and, you know, anti-blackness and so many different things. This is an example of that. And I gotta say, man, you know, hopefully they're learning a lesson. That $900,000 is a hefty price to pay when they could have just advanced this man in the ways that he deserved.
This is one of the richest counties in America. And clearly the way that a lot of the counties said, we want to talk to somebody from the county. I don't want to just put it all the way under the bus, man. But, you know, I mean, they paid out for Tommy Lay. You know what I'm saying? They paid out for this. Last year, this time, the black employees over in the county, remember, they did a protest. You got a lawsuit going over there with the black corrections officers they're over there in the King County jail. So, you know, I mean, our county does a lot of great stuff, for sure. You know, I always try to be objective when talking about things. We see a lot of great results that come out of King County. But, you know, people need to realize, too, that a lot of government jobs, you know, a lot of times people, you know, they're in there for their career. And it's, you know, my brother's been at Parks 26, 27 years, right? You got some people who are over there in the county, when King County didn't quite look like King County does right now. All the Negroes was just right there in the central, within the city of Seattle, you know what I'm saying? And within a municipality, King County looks real different. And you got some people who work at the county who are in their 30th year who very well, you know, internally might not be too happy as they've seen King County change over the years. And you know, we see a lot of times in the culture of what's coming out, because some of the stuff that you hear coming out of the county and some of these lawsuits that have been won or either settled or paid off, or you hear these things, you know, coming from black people who work in the county, and you're like, damn, word? Martin Luther King County?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Even talking to specifically to Metro workers. I mean, you know, as Claude was, right? It's real. And when you start getting into some of the details of their stories, man, it is horrendous. And I remember being at a protest with some of the Metro workers, and they were still claiming so much discrimination, and they were really fighting against that and galvanizing and organizing around that. Because honestly, I think that there's also this real layer of fear of speaking out, and that you're going to be retaliated against. And this is something that is real. And so to see this play out the way that it has, you know, you're always hoping with every opportunity that those in the power or the powers that be really see it as an opportunity to change. And really, let's go back through the gates. Let's go ahead and, you know, train our employees up. Let's do some different things to create new measures. But the truth is, you're right, man. You know, these stories have been going on for a long time right here in MLK County.
You got to look. I mean, the reporting from Carolyn Bick at the South Seattle Emerald talks about the environment that was over there that impeded the oversight. People were supposed to be doing the oversight over the King County Sheriff's Office. I mean, you know, there's some issues there that are clearly institutional within King County. And, you know, it's always interesting because we get the executive, and the executive, you know, he's always putting on a good face on what's going on in the county. It would be interesting to hear what the executive is doing, you know, to combat issues inside the county. We hear from the county executive talking about issues outside of the county and some pretty good initiatives that are coming out of King County. But clearly, there's an issue inside the county, and it's an issue that goes across various different departments and some everything else. You got to think, if a black sheriff or a black corrections officer over there at the King County Jail is being blatantly discriminated against to the point where you've got lawsuits, and I forget the exact details of one of the officers there, so I'm gonna get the details tomorrow, but It was pretty bad what happened. If that's happening to somebody who works in the system, imagine what's happening to an inmate over there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talked about this before, that it's really clear there's a real a narrative that is unfortunate that comes out of a lot of government offices. County is one of them, city is another. I have heard horrendous stories, to be honest, you guys, about, there's certain people that stay in these positions for 20 plus years, and then they become workplace bullies, and people don't want to speak out against them because they have the ear of the ED, they have the ear of the director of the department, they have the ear of this and that. And so people get really fearful to be like, nah, man, I'm going in shaking in my boots every single day because this person's going to come for me, and I know it. As soon as I see her walking past my desk, I've got my defenses up. It's a lot of people that are suffering from their own like workplace PTSD. And it's a real thing that doesn't get spoken of enough, but it's unfortunate. It's something that definitely needs to be rooted out, man, at the county and city level, just governmental levels in general.
Yeah, I mean, this is taxpayer dollars. I mean, and the only reason why I brought up, I said that King County is a very rich county, is they keep eating these lawsuits because, it's taxpayer money anyway. You know what I'm saying? It's billions of dollars in their budget and everything else. If this was maybe a small, poor county, some of these lawsuits and everything would really impact for change.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it would really come down to dollars and cents. Man, we just can't afford to keep paying this out. We have to change something. This county is very wealthy. You know what I'm saying? And with that, they just eat these losses. I mean, ultimately, it comes back out to the citizens. And so, one last thing here. We're running over time, but I thought that was important to throw in here. Is Sawant, the Sawant Recall. This is from Recall Sawant campaign says nearing signature goal to put vote on ballot. Update November. The Capitol Hill Seattle blog, my buddy over there, Justin Carter, grab this right here, says that the recall, this is from a fundraising pitch from Recall Sawant. The recall committee has now collected more than 9,000 in-district signatures in less than 7 weeks. And it says that basically they need another 1,739 verifiable signatures by August 1st. And it looks like that they want to put this on the November ballot. This was something that the anti-recall people, they were thinking that the recall people wanted to put it on an earlier ballot because, the November, everybody's showing up and they're showing out and everything else. But it looks like Recall Sawant, it looks like they're fairly close to getting the signatures here and that it'll go on the ballot.
Wow. I mean, we've been keeping up with this really since it was announced. And it's interesting because we talk about how close that race was, the last time Sawant was running. And we're seeing, there's a lot of people that still have, a real, liking for maybe the other side, and also maybe didn't agree with some of the decisions that Sawant made that now actually created the recall. So it's just interesting to see how this is playing out. I mean, we were talking about this. It was very narrow margin.
Yeah, it came down to, I mean, it was, I was there when Sawant, it was at Langston Hughes, and I covered that because that election was so close, and, Egan Orion, he had the vote numbers out early. I think those were the day of the late voter, or actually the early voters. However it goes, but then Sawant just stayed quiet, and ultimately, as the votes came in, ended up winning. And you got to remember there was a lot of money in that race, and Amazon and Bezos put in $1 million and some of everything else, but it's very close margin of victory there. But I think that it would really be good to just have a real honest conversation, about the recall, because on both sides of this recall issue is just hyperbolic. You know what I'm saying? I mean, on the Sawant side, they're like, man, it's just millionaires and billionaires who don't want Sawant out. There's hella black people who are poor, who are hella poor, who also don't want Sawant out. But and then on the flip side, though, these other guys are saying on the on the Recall Sawant side, they're like, yeah, we're just a bunch of grassroots people who are just fed up with Sawant, man. But they're also backed by, you know what I'm saying, all kinds of powerful forces, either, you know, financially or with infrastructure or everything else. So both sides of this thing, it's like, man, just stop it. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't say that it's just, you know, like I said, when Sawant's like, it's just all the billionaires and millionaires, they want me out of office. Man, let's just walk through the CD. You go over to Communion and talk to some people out there who are just poor black people who are like, nah. You know what I'm saying? And that's real. And like I said, it's disingenuous, though, for the Recall Sawant people to just be like, oh, no, it's just regular people in the district or whatever, which it is. There is a number of them. But, man, they got all kinds of backing and everything else as well. So, like, neither side on this issue was really, I think, being as genuine and honest as possible.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, and it's such a mixed bag. I think ultimately that's what we're really seeing. And that's what made this race so interesting to begin with, because there were certain people that really said, wait, you know, Sawant's ideals are just too radical for me. And it was across the spectrum, different ethnicities and all. So when we talk about how some folks may be aligning their values with this recall effort, you know, it isn't one side. It isn't one way. And again, when we think about voters, we also have to remember the things that we say in the black community. Even now, the voters are not a monolith. You can't just assume that everybody that was on this side is saying, oh yeah, no, we care for, you know, everything coming out of the office, and the other side is saying, oh no, we connect more with big money. It's such a mixed bag that you got to be able to be on the ground and understand that nuance there, man, because there's a lot of it, bruh.
You, the voters, don't get played, man. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, you know, it's not either or. It's for you to actually educate yourself and really understand, like, what's going on. Because, you know, what Seattle, what's happening now, and I hope that it's really happening and it stays, I hope people are getting tired, at least in our community, of all these different people pressing the panic button in our community. Yeah. You know, and we be like, oh, word, we gotta do this and that. And man, let's sit and just think. And I'm not trying to tell people recall Sawant or don't recall Sawant. What I'm telling people is educate yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, really educate yourself. Because if you go with the slogan for Recall Sawant, or you go to the slogan against Recall Sawant, and you just do that, man, you know what I'm saying? You're not really educating yourself on the actual issue. And people really should look at, you know what I'm saying, who is actually for and against this issue, and be an informed electorate. Don't be a Twitter electorate. Don't be a soundbite electorate. You know what I'm saying? Do yourself and our community a favor and be an informed electorate going into this decision, this vote here, and so many other things that are going to be on the ballot.
Yeah, absolutely. We always talk about that, being engaged in the process. That's part of it. You got to educate yourself. You got to understand where these elected officials are coming from. And, you know, what is the motivation behind this? Is it really that, you know, folks never wanted someone in, so now they're like, oh, yeah, she did one thing wrong, like, let's get on it? Really do your research. And I think that there's a lot of information that you can glean from, because ultimately it's on you to be informed.
Yeah, and just let everybody know. And I always like to throw this in here, you know, that people are catching up on the tally. But if you look at the history of all of our interviews here, going back almost 3 years of interviews here, Councilmember Sawant has given the most interviews. Yeah. Councilmember Sawant came to our studio the most time. First council member to ever invite us downtown. You know what I'm saying, to do interviews down there. So we have a long track record actually of talking with Councilmember Sawant. A lot of times when the council members released initiatives and everything else, we've been included. Press releases and things like that. We haven't had the council member on in a while, not because we haven't tried, though. I reached out to Jonathan Rosenblum. I'm trying to get the council member on here to talk about the recall and other issues in D3. We haven't quite heard back. Also reached out to the other side, to the Recall Sawant. Haven't heard back from them either. So maybe everybody's camera shy about this issue.
Yeah. They want to keep it close to the chest, man.
All right, man. We're running a little behind here, but I think that... Well, let's take a break. We're going to figure it out on the break. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
I did it for the city. I did it for the love. I did it for the people. I did it for us.
Back on this rap ish. I ain't even broke a sweat, homie. This practice. Pondering my next move. Staring at my track list. Hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist. Seattle most own. Tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
Yeah, we'd like to be in the stream, please. Chief. All right. Well, we don't see ourselves on the screen, so. But I guess you're right. We're there. The monitors. All right. Anyways, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. I wouldn't even say it's technical difficulty. It's frozen right there. Anyways, there it is right there. It's resetting. Okay. Man, want to fit in this segment here real quick before we bring in Beelan from the Delridge Farmers Market. Yeah. This is Nicole Hannah Jones. Let me get this right here. Yeah, Nicole Hannah Jones. It was a big blow up because, she's the 1619 Project. Mm-hmm. And won Pulitzer Prize and everything. Used to graduate from Chapel Hill and was supposed to be getting a tenured position there at Chapel Hill. And they tried to deny her tenure and everything else. It was a big blow up. And then ultimately last week, UNC offered her tenure and she's like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to just go to Howard. We want to play this clip right here. I'm sorry for the short introduction. We're just short on time. We'll go right to the clip from CBS this morning.
We've reported how University of North Carolina trustees agreed to offer tenure to journalist Nicole Hannah Jones after weeks of controversy. She is here with us now for her first interview since the offer was approved. It was approved last week, Wednesday, July 1st. Nicole Hannah Jones, we welcome you to CBS this morning.
Thank you so much.
What have you decided to do? We just heard the vote was 9-4, offering you the tenure. What have you decided?
Well, I've decided to decline the offer of tenure. I will not be teaching on the faculty of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. It's a very difficult decision, not a decision I wanted to make. And instead, I'm going to be the inaugural night chair in race and journalism at Howard University.
So many things to unpack there. First, let's start with you declining the offer. The vote was 9-4, clearly in your favor. There are some people that could say, you said you wouldn't take the job without being offered tenure. They offered you the tenure, and you're still saying, thanks, but no.
Absolutely.
Because?
Well, because look what it took to get tenure. So this was a position that since the 1980s came with tenure. The night chairs are designed for professional journalists who have been working in the field to come into academia. And every other chair before me, who also happened to be white, received that position with tenure.
It had never been denied. No one had ever been denied tenure before.
Exactly. And I went through the tenure process, and I received the unanimous approval of the faculty to be granted tenure. And so to be denied it and to only have that vote occur on the last possible day, at the last possible moment, after threat of legal action, after weeks of protest, after it became a national scandal, it's just not something that I want anymore.
Because there were two chances, it seems to me, they could have voted for tenure in November. Then you heard that the tenure offer was being pulled. Did anybody explain why it was being pulled?
No, Gail, to this day, neither the chancellor or the provost or anyone on the board of trustees has ever told me why my tenure was not taken up in November, why it was not taken up in January, and even the public statements about needing more information about my credentials. They voted without ever asking me or receiving any additional information than what they had in November.
Now, at one point, I believe there was an offer that you could work there, you could teach for 5 years, and then they would reconsider tenure. And it seems at one point you had accepted that offer, right?
I did.
To do that? And what changed your mind?
Well, I accepted it after going through months and months of the tenure process. This is my alma mater. I love the university. The university has given me a lot, and I wanted to give back. It was embarrassing to be the first person to be denied tenure. It was embarrassing, and I didn't want this to become a public scandal. I didn't want to drag my university, through the pages of newspapers because I was the first and the only Black person in that position to be denied tenure. So I was willing to accept it.
Yeah, you never spoke up during that time.
Never. This did not become public because of anything that I did. As you know, this is the first time I'm speaking about this at all.
Why do you suppose they didn't right away offer you tenure? What do you think the reason is?
I mean, what has been reported is that there was a great deal of political interference by conservatives who don't like the work that I've done, particularly the 1619 project, and also by the powerful donor who gave the largest donation in the 70-year history of the journalism school. So it's pretty clear that my tenure was not taken up because of political opposition, because of discriminatory views against my viewpoint, and I believe my race and my gender.
Yeah, and let's talk. Should politics be part of this process?
No,
It
it's
seems
actually
to become very, very political.
Yeah, it's actually against state law for political interference to be part of the tenure process. So no, it clearly shouldn't. Every person who comes up from tenure should be judged by the quality of their work, by how they went through the tenure process. You know, again, it has to be made clear. I went through the official tenure process, and my peers in academia said that I was deserving of tenure. These board members are political appointees who decided that I wasn't.
And can we say you have a 20-year career with impeccable credentials? Let's talk about the 1619 project, because the New York Times did issue a clarification, not a correction. They said they've stood by you. There was a clarification. What was the clarification, and what is your response to the criticism?
Sure. So the clarification was that we added 2 words to a statement on the role of slavery in the American Revolution. The original text, right? The original text said that one of the primary reasons that colonists decided to break off from the British Empire was to preserve slavery. We added that one of the primary reasons that some of the colonists decided to break off. It was a clarification, and I think, you know, in academia and in journalism, we should clarify if necessary.
Yeah.
That's never been seen somehow as making a project illegitimate because you try to strengthen and clarify your argument.
You know, you've released a 8-page statement. I encourage people to read the statement. It's 8 pages where you really take us through exactly what happened. I want people to understand you had offers from many universities after this controversy started to arise with North Carolina. Many people approached you and said, please come here, including Howard. Why did you decide that it would be Howard? And I raise that question because some would say, look, Howard already understands this. Would you be more effective working for, say, a predominantly white university that may need to understand the work that you do?
Yeah, you know, I have been very, very thoughtful about my decision to go to an historically Black college. And what I decided is, since the 2nd grade, when I started being bused into white schools, I've spent my entire life proving that I belonged in elite white spaces that were not built for Black people. And I just decided, you know, I got a lot of clarity through what happened with the University of North Carolina. I decided I didn't want to do that anymore, that Black professionals should feel free and actually perhaps an obligation to go to our own institutions and bring our talents and resources to our own institutions and help to build them up as well.
All right. So let me say this, and I'll throw this over to you, Trey, because I see you shaking over there. You ready to jump into this? North Carolina Central University in Durham, North Carolina, they have a law school. Right, it's one of the oldest Black law schools there, North Carolina, the NCCU Eagles. And the reason why North Carolina Central University got their law school is that the state legislature in 1939 created a law school at North Carolina Central, so it was a compromise. They didn't want to let Black people into the University of North Carolina, and you know the state needed Black lawyers. Shaw had a law school previously, but they had closed their law school. And this same university, and she was an alumnus there. She was worried about getting into less than 100 years ago. They would rather build a new law school over there at North Carolina Central than admit Black students into University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. So, you know, we're not too far removed from these institutions and power of play that have been there at that university, and clearly it showed its head.
I mean, it showed its head for sure. And I just got to say, you know what, shout out to her for really diving deep and being able to analyze this decision in the ways that she did. And I think what she said there at the end is so powerful and it's so true. And I tell my son all the time, when we start thinking about HBCUs as a first option and as an only option in a lot of cases, we will really begin to cultivate and centralize Black genius in these institutions. And shout out to Howard University, go Bisons, because honestly, I agree 100%. I think about this from a athletic perspective with my son being a basketball player all the time. If we, our young Black people, would take their talent to HBCUs, you can only imagine how much richer our athletic departments would be in these schools. You could only imagine how scouts and recruiters and agents and shoe reps and everybody else will be going to HBCUs to recruit this talent and to get them in the NBA, to get them in the NFL. I just feel like what she said about us always feeling like we have to make sure that we align ourselves with a white pedagogy so we can be accepted in these spaces is so crucial, man. It's time for, I think, all of us out there to wake up to this
And
notion.
I'll say this, though, too. There is a portion of our community that feels that they need to go to a white university for acceptance. But, you know, there's over 100, it was 112, 117 HBCUs that have been operating for a long, long time. A graduate of Elizabeth City State University. So is my father. So is my great uncles, and some of everything else. Cuddy, where he goes? He went to Hampton. He went to the other HU.
That's right.
And, you know, I'll tell you this. Something in us told us that we had to go somewhere else to be good enough. And, you know, in wanting to go and be good enough and be in other spaces, a lot of spaces where we've never been welcome, look what we give up. Look what we give up. And, you know, it's this great migration in reverse around universities. You see, we don't have time for the clip today, but Master P's son signed, he went to Tennessee State. And also yesterday when it became, they could sign deals, college students signed a $2 million deal. 18-year-old kid, $2 million deal over, he's at Tennessee State. Deion Sanders, head coach down there at Jackson State University. I mean, there's so many. There is a migration of Black people who are now, they're sending their kids to Black schools because this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience that you'll get where you can go to college and be embraced in your Blackness and everything else before you go out into this world. And so, you know, we see it happen. We're gonna keep this story going. We got a few more stories like this of people who are now migrating back to Black college. They're sending their kids to Black colleges. That's what they want. They want their children to have that experience because that experience is much more important culturally and in surviving in this country. It's an amazing experience going to a HBCU. I'm way over time here. I know your guest is out there. It looks like Bielen's enjoying the show. Is she out there looking at the screen like, yeah. We're going to take a quick break right now. When we come back, man, we're talking about farmers markets right here on the Morning Update Show.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Back on this rap-ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own, tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media. back, everybody, to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday, and I'm excited because I get to speak with Belan Aiden right here. What's up, Belan?
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You're looking fabulous today.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I know you do a lot of different things in community, wear a lot of different hats, and I want to jump right in to African community housing and development, right? You guys are doing a lot of work to really ensure that the community is engaged and informed in housing developments. Let's talk about that before we get into the farmers market.
Yeah. So once again, thanks for having me. I'm Belan. I'm with African Community Housing and Development, and we have been around a couple years now, and we are focused in housing stability, economic development, education, high quality education for our community, and access to referral to legal services.
Oh, nice. You guys are doing a lot of things, and I think it's really important too, because oftentimes when we talk about community, they want to go to services with providers that look like them. They want to be educated by folks that are from their community as well. How has that been for you in terms of bringing a lot of these opportunities to your community?
Oh, it's been incredible. I work with an amazing group of community leaders and members who speak multiple languages, so we're able to provide culturally relevant services at any given time. We are able to provide services in Somali, in English, in Arabic, in Oromo, in Swahili. So we have community members who feel welcome when they come to our space, which is the whole reason why we have this organization to begin with. We know it's very hard to access services, and so the last thing our goal is to make sure that folks feel like they're coming into a space that they feel welcome.
Yeah, that's important. And I think when we talk about, housing and community development, so much of it is about disrupting what we're seeing out there in terms of for-profit developers coming into our communities, and it being just devastating for so many of our community members, our renters, our homeowners. And how has it been just bringing that specific education in terms of, hey, we have to be involved in this process, y'all?
Yeah, absolutely. So economic development is a core pillar of our organization. And so for the last few years, we've been engaging with community members about creating, what would it look like to create a cultural anchor center in the South King County area? And how do we bring that space where elders feel like they have access to housing and they have access to activities and services that they care about, as well as serve our youngins, our beautiful babies, and give them the high quality early learning education that they deserve.
Yeah, I love that you guys are doing this with such a wide lens. I think it's so important because oftentimes if we have too much of a narrow focus, sometimes we're missing out on opportunities. And it's important to understand that our communities are impacted in a wide variety of ways. So you guys really have just been on the ground. I've seen you guys been working for the last few years. It's been great for me to see because I know with Africatown, so much of the energy is being pumped into the Central District. But we talk about the fact that we have so much Black community all throughout King County and South King County in particular. What are some of the areas that you guys really cover in terms of looking at South King County?
Yeah, so we're located in SeaTac, but we do serve community members in Renton, in Skyway, in Burien, in Federal Way, in Des Moines, in Auburn, and so we really cover a variety of areas in the South King County area because that's where our community members live. And like I said, we're kind of like a cultural anchor organization. And so people feel comfortable coming to our location because they know that they will get served in the way that, that honors them and their dignity.
Well, this is a really great segue because when we talk about you guys having this wide lens, clearly you're like, you know what, we're gonna organize a farmers market right here out in Delridge. And how has that been? Because I know that that's like, Black and Indigenous, and you guys are really specific about the vendors and the people that you're bringing to the space. So let's dive in a little bit. Curtis, I know you have the flyer coming up, but you also have some photos. So we'll let you talk over some of those photos as people experience how you guys have been out there in community.
Sure. So, this project came because of our youth. We had served about 18 youth prior to the pandemic, and they were working on an urban farm as well as going to their workshops and engaging with their families and community members. They had a leadership and advocacy community cafes that they were doing, and they were talking about to their families about what does food insecurity look like in their neighborhoods. And these conversations culminated to this idea that there aren't that many opportunities to access culturally relevant, locally sourced food, particularly in the South Delridge enclave. And so the youth actually came up with this idea of having a farmer's market. And what our organization was able to do is just work with our partner, who's Hope Academy, Education for All, in South Delridge area. They have a huge space where the urban farm is located. And they had rented out their space to us so that we can start this pilot project. And we definitely wanted to make sure that we center youth engagement as well as provide economic development opportunities for BIPOC vendors, in particularly Black vendors. And so if you're selling goods and you have your licensing, and we can even help you and support you with your licensing with the City of Seattle, go to our website at achdo.org and fill out the vendor application. And we will support you as well by providing the tents and any equipment that you may need in order to operate safely. And we will also, there's no fee, there's no vendor fee. And that's one thing that we're different from other organizations or other farmers markets, is because it historically has vendor fees, and that has been a barrier for many BIPOC community members to engage in farmers markets. And then the last piece is that any surplus food or goods that's not sold, ACHD will buy it from the vendor, and we will distribute it to community members in need, and particularly our elders and folks who have barriers to accessing the farmers market via transportation.
Wow, I mean, you guys really have thought about a wraparound model. It's something that I'm loving to see flourish more. It feels like a lot of people are beginning to understand, no, how do we literally eliminate all barriers to access for our community? And you guys are doing that in such a rich way. Let's make sure folks know about the next farmers market that's coming up. You can look right in the camera and let them know where they can find all of these amazing vendors.
Yes, our next farmers market is this weekend on Saturday between 11 and 3 at Hope Academy campus, located at 9421 18th Avenue Southwest. And just to let you know, last month was our pilot, and we sold out of everything within 3 hours. So by 1 o'clock, our vendors had nothing else to sell. So we're glad that we're able to guarantee that we will sell any surplus, but because of the coverage, I'm thinking they're gonna sell out of everything. So get there as soon as you can.
Oh, that's a great message, Bilan, and also a great way to serve community. Shout out to you guys over there. You know, you guys are doing great work, and I'm just so glad that you could join us on the Morning Update show today to share with our audience some of the amazing ways that you guys are being a part of these solutions out here that are so needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, and we look forward to seeing you all there this Saturday.
Absolutely. Well, you guys heard it from Bilan herself. There's clearly a new farmers market in town. And if you guys are looking to support Black owned and Black vendors and indigenous vendors, go check out this Delridge farmers market out there. As she said, you guys might want to come early because they will be selling out. We're going to take a short break right now, and I'll be bringing my co-host Big O back onto the set with me. Stay tuned, you guys. You're watching the Morning Update Show. Hey, everybody. We all know that COVID-19 has had a major impact on everything this year, even energy bills. Puget Sound Energy understands the ongoing struggle that's facing its customers. And this is why they're offering a COVID bill assistance program of up to $2,500 per qualified customer. If you or anyone you know are currently behind on energy bills, please contact PSC today to discuss all of the assistance options available. Visit psc.com/COVID to learn more.
Hey guys, it's Besa Gordon from Converge Media. You can catch me on my show Rewind with Besa, which airs every other Saturday at 2 p.m. anywhere you watch Converge Media. Now, I know a lot of us still have questions about the COVID-19 vaccine. However, here are a couple things you don't have to question. Everyone 12 years and older in Washington State are now eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine. It's free, and you don't even need insurance or citizenship status to get vaccinated. If you still have questions, and I know you probably do, you can visit kingcounty.gov/COVID for additional information. You can also call the King County COVID-19 call center at 206-477-3977 to get COVID-19 and the vaccination questions answered, get translation services if needed, set up an in-home vaccination appointment for yourself or someone you know may not be comfortable at a vaccination site due to a disability, anxiety, or other reasons. Look, with summer being here, now is the time to get all your COVID-19 vaccination questions answered so we can all get out the house and live our best lives again.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday. And, bringing Big O back on, man, last few words here. But we had a great show today, man. I always love getting into good discussion with you, bro.
Yeah, we're going to have to continue. Some stuff we didn't play today, especially about this migration back to historically black colleges and universities. So we'll hop on that tomorrow. I see we're up against the hour, Trey Holiday. Any last words?
For me, you guys, just see yourself as part of the solution. I love how Belon and those over at African Community Housing and Development are doing just that. You guys are getting inspired by the stories that we're sharing right here on the Morning Update Show all the time. And you guys have many examples of ways to find yourself as a part of these solutions.
All right, good stuff. Today is Wednesday, huh? Yeah. Man. All right, good. That means I think I got an evening off over here. Nothing on the programming notes. So in that case, want to remind you to go forward in your purpose, go forward in your humanity. And until tomorrow at 11 a.m., peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun.